See, I know that you know that the opioid crisis is largely a product of the marketing efforts by Purdue and the Sackler family.
No, it's because of the unscientific marketing efforts by the CDC.
You already know that they lied for years about how addictive drugs like OxyContin are.
Let's talk about the real issue. I'm linking to a video from my alter ego called CDC Deliberately Lies About Pain Patients. I'll let you watch the video for all the gory details, but here's a quick summary. The CDC has been miscounting opioid deaths at least since 2005. In particular, deaths caused by illicitly manufactured fentanyl on the black market have been misattributed to prescription opioids. In addition, they've been wrongly attributing opioids as a single cause of death, when the real cause is polysubstance abuse, opioids along with alcohol and other drugs the person is abusing. All of that results in a category error where pain patients, the doctors that prescribe their pain medicine, and the pharmaceutical companies that make the medicine are wrongly blamed, and pain patients are conflated with drug abusers when these are two completely different demographic groups with only about a 0.6% overlap. Yes, only 0.6% of prescription opioid patients become addicted, and only 0.2% overdose. The CDC was aware of these issues back in 2005, but instead of fixing the issue, they instead hired the PR firm PRR Incorporated in order to cover for their mistakes and mislead the public about the real cause of opioid overdoses. Everything people think they know about the opioid crisis comes not from scientific data, but from this PR firm. And Second Thought is no different, even though this information is out there for anyone who wants to do proper research. One more thing before we get back to it. This video was requested by Sid P. If you'd like to request a video for me to debunk, just use the links below to go to Patreon or Subscribestar and become a supporter at the $2 level.
And that they pushed these drugs on doctors using massive amounts of money, leading to overprescribing and to the nearly 140 opioid-related deaths a day we have here in the States.
As anyone who's done the actual research can easily see, this is an outright lie. And it's a lie that's led to unnecessary misery on the part of pain patients who are just trying to manage their pain. Here's something else you can see supported in the same video. Pain patients who are bogusly denied their pain medication often resort to suicide because the pain is just too much for them to deal with. Something like 45,000 Americans die from suicide each year, easily exceeding opioid overdose deaths. Nationwide, that rate has risen by over 30% since 1999. We know from the testimony of pain patients and their loved ones, as well as their suicide notes, that being denied pain medicine is the cause of a lot of these suicides. A survey of over 3,100 pain patients showed that 40% of them have considered suicide because their pain is poorly treated. But we have no idea how many suicides are pain patients because the CDC refuses to even count them!
You're pretty well informed about these facts.
Not if you're subscribed to his channel, you're not!
We'll be looking at how the logic of drug criminalization and the nature of capitalism's relationship to the state profoundly shaped this event.
Of course. As anyone who watches my channel knows, capitalism has no relationship to the state. If it has a relationship to the state, then it isn't capitalism, by definition. I'm linking to that video as well.
You've probably wondered before why some drugs are legal to consume and others are not. Why is it heroin, not alcohol, that can put you behind bars?
Because when we tried that with alcohol, it was a colossal failure. We haven't learned that lesson yet with heroin, although we should have. But that's not what you'll hear from Second Thought. By the way, Just for those of you who keep accusing me of portraying these people in the worst light possible, I'll point out that I'm skipping his insane conspiracy theories about coffee and tobacco being pushed on people by big corporations who want workers to be addicted to stimulants, as well as his bewildering association of them with white supremacy. You don't need me to debunk all that anyway. So yes, what you'll be seeing are his better arguments. Keep that in mind.
According to Michel Foucault,
yeah, we'll skip this crap too, but you can see what I mean. No one who takes Michel Foucault at all seriously is worth listening to.
Drugs like fentanyl, a synthetic opioid that is both more potent and cheaper to produce than most other opioids, comes into the US primarily through Latin America, and the drug's comparatively easier potential for overdose has made it a target of the US's political apparatus. In targeting fentanyl in their speeches, presidents and elected politicians of all stripes are promoting a vision of a drug-free society. The idea that if we can get rid of dangerous fentanyl, we can get rid of our drug problem. But make no mistake, the real aim of these policies is to focus state protection on the pharmaceutical corporations that benefit American interests.
Anyone who knows anything about prescription opioids knows that this is just an incredible lie. In order for this to be the case, the government would have to not be putting the screws on pain patients, subjecting them to what is tantamount to torture solely for wanting to manage their pain in a safe, non-abusive way. In order for this to be the case, the government would not have psychopathically classified prescription opioids as Schedule II narcotics. Also, in order for this to be the case, the CDC would have to be honest about the safety of pharmaceutical opioids, not propping up lies with information produced by a PR firm. If what he's saying is at all true, then how come all of his talking points about these evil pharmaceutical companies come from the government?
For companies like Purdue, this is all great news. The relative morality of pharmaceutical opioids over their illicit counterparts, and the implantation of the US as a dominant military and economic power in Latin America allows them to expand their operations away from the US, where pharmaceutical opioid consumption has been declining since 2012.
Yeah, why was pharmaceutical opioid consumption declining since then? It isn't because there were fewer pain patients, it's because that's when Obama moved prescription opioids to Schedule II, like I said, resulting in pain patients being faced with a choice of suffering with their pain, turning to the black market for pain relief, or committing suicide. By the way, the constant trend throughout this so-called opioid epidemic is that while opioid prescriptions have gone down, overdoses have gone up. And even then, it's gone down by illicit heroin users. It's users of illicitly manufactured fentanyl that's causing the numbers to rise. That's fentanyl manufactured by black market players, not fentanyl manufactured by pharmaceutical companies. Purdue has absolutely nothing to do with this. And that, as I've pointed out repeatedly, is why lying sociopaths like Second Thought will continually bleat on and on about prescription opioids, but then, as soon as they talk about overdoses, drop the word prescription and just say opioids, because they're dishonestly trying to conflate the two and blame pain patients and those who treat them for the problem.
If this sounds complicated and a bit all over the place, it's because it is.
No, it's because you're trying to confuse the issue so that people will believe your crap.
If you can only remember one thing from this episode, let it be this. At the heart of this nexus of pharmaceutical, national, and geopolitical interests is the consistent persecution of the poor, of racial minorities, and of the people of foreign countries in the search of higher profits and greater global power.
See, not one word about the persecution of pain patients, because he wants pain patients to be persecuted because it suits his political agenda. He is no better than the drug warriors. In fact, he's one of them. So thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, leave a comment, and go to donate.bogosity.tv to keep me doing what I do. And check out all the great content here, like this video selected just for you.